Aloha Flow Riders, and welcome to a special edition of The Flow. You guys are trying to break my calendar.
We are breaking everyone's calendar. We're breaking all the calendars. But you know, we're here for it. We're here for it because we're sharing value.
My brain just was like, oh man, okay, Wednesday. I looked at the schedule. I just did a podcast. And then for some reason, this one didn't pop up on my schedule. But then I realized what it is. It's because my calendar doesn't know that Jill is ill. I have always known she's ill. No. Wait, is she here? I might get in trouble.
She's here. She's here. She's going to be yelling.
Nothing. Rewind. Hey, everybody. Welcome to The Flow. I'm Doc. I'm in a nice way. I'm the nice guy. Hi. Hello, FJ.
We're going to have some fun today.
What is happening?
Have some fun.
I'm glad to be here.
Oh, my God. Matt is still teasing me about my Agatha Christie and then Agatha Crespi, as Marianne says.
Agatha Crespi. Fuljens, we were talking all about my Agatha Christie reading challenge yesterday. But Doc could not pronounce Agatha Christie, so things have devolved.
And then now it's Marianne's new nickname is Agatha Crespi.
Yep. Agatha
Crespi.
Yep, absolutely.
Jill,
well, I
Jill
am super excited. I'm super excited to be here today. We're definitely in a silly state of mind, but we're talking about something really awesome and really serious, which is video production, and we're finishing off the month really strong because I'm super impressed that Fuljens was willing to hang out with us today because he just got back from yet another event, which we didn't even mention in the description, but he was at Gathering of Nations with our friend Paul Gowder. So yeah, maybe before we even jump into any of that, do you want to give a little debrief on that event, Fuljens? What was that experience like for those who have no idea what a Gathering of Nations is?
Yeah, so this was the 30th anniversary Gathering of Nations powwow event, and actually it's the final one, so they're not going to be doing any Gathering of Nations anymore. There'll be other powwows, of course, but this was literally a gathering of different tribes from all across the U.S. and Canada. And I was just telling Katie before we got live that the seating capacity for the stadium was 11,000 plus. There was not one empty seat in the building, plus all the different tribes on the floor. I believe at one point there were like 2,000 people on the floor. I had to basically be like on the stage and not on the floor. I couldn't even get a shot in or like capture some photos or video. It was that insane, but this was amazing. The first day, I should say, went from about 12 p.m. to 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. And the next day went to 2 a.m. And this was an incredible experience. And not only that, on the outside, you had these big TV screens set up. So you don't even miss a thing. You don't miss anything of happening on the inside. You could hear everything very well. There was also a stage outside with where concerts were happening. This was an amazing event. I'm happy to be a part of not only my first ever powwow, but the final Gathering of Nations in Albuquerque, New Mexico. It was incredible.
I love that we're kicking off with this, and I love that you have those exact numbers as well to share, because when we're talking today about production, we're talking about like real high stakes, serious production. Like there were 11,000 people in that room, and then I believe what Paula told me last time was there's well over 1 million people who are watching this live stream. So the stakes are really high. The need to get it right is really high. And the planning and the importance of really understanding how it all works is also obviously incredibly important. Doc's kicking off with our first question. You want to ask, Doc?
Yes. I was just deciding with there's 3 Pauls, it's going to break something. Okay. When you hear production, what does that actually mean to you? And I think it's a good question for our audience because we have somewhat pivoted we've pivoted the name of what Ecamm is. And we've always said this, but now we made it official by yanking the word live out. And when people ask me, well, what is Ecamm? I say it's a video production suite for your computer. And some people catch it right away. Some people go. So, yeah, for the chat, like right away, what does production mean to you? When you hear that word, what's the first thing that pops in your socks?
And how about you, Fuljens? What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear the word production?
You know, like the easy first thing that comes to my mind when I hear production is video.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You go to video. Okay.
You go to video.
Yeah, I go to video.
This is interesting.
Where do you go, Doc? What's the first thing that pops into your head?
Making something that has a definitive outcome.
Okay.
Right. So it's funny, like in medical terminology, when we ask someone like, okay, you have a cold, and we're like, well, what's your production look like? We're talking about the whatever their sputum comes out to, like if it's like green or yellow, so that way we can know whether we need to prescribe antibiotics or something. So production to me means like the making of something, regardless of what it is.
Yeah, there's some good answers coming through. I think for me, I immediately think of an experience. Like you're creating and building an experience. So similar to you, Fulgence, I definitely think video first, but I'm thinking too that it's not like it is like putting together the building blocks of an experience. Like you're building something big. It feels big. It feels big. It feels important.
Look, this one is good. Who's paying?
Good. I like where your mind's at.
I like that thought right there. Who's paying for this? Agatha says our production is good visual storytelling. I agree with this as well. And then the ever-present Matt Omnipresent said our production is any combination of audio, video, and engagement with the audience. All of the above are correct. I noticed one thing that nobody said. Wait, Jimmy said everything about an event, live or pre-recorded. And then Paul said production, when you put more effort into just turning on the camera, it actually becomes a production. All of them are correct.
One step above turning on the camera.
Yeah, all of them are correct. I like that though. One step above turning on the camera is also good. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I like this concept, and it's good because what nobody did, which is what I'm happy to hear, that you guys are properly drinking full 40 ounces of the Kool-Aid, is nobody mentioned the gear. And I think that's hyper important because I feel like too many people get stuck like Chuck on the gear and don't really, I don't know what the proper terminology is, aren't really understanding that, it's way more than that, because there are some amazing productions that are done literally with phone. As a matter of fact, every Apple event, they come out and they show you a multi-million-dollar commercial shot on like 7-8 phones. You know what I mean? And so everyone always loves to do of course it's good because they spend all that money. No, it's good because of the skill of the people behind it. Because for a good quality video, you only require two things: a camera and proper lighting. The picture will be fine, no matter what you're doing, no matter what camera. I mean, I could pull out a 1978 camera with proper lighting and make an epic film. And the reason why you know this, actually, take it back. Let's go 77. Star Wars 1, 1977. Nobody complaining about, it wasn't good enough. That movie has made more than probably anything on the planet and launched a franchise. It's the thing that started 1,000 fights or whatever that saying goes. So it's really a matter of just nobody say gear. I love that about you guys. That means you guys are learning. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's funny. We put like in our notes that production is not necessarily gear first. It's not really like thinking through the complexity. That's certainly obviously those things are involved in some extent or another. But I think really coming at some of these kinds of events that we're going to talk about today requires a mindset and an understanding of the big picture and what you're trying to create and how you're going to get from A to Z. And Jill, who isn't here today because she would not be able to talk, but I remember being at a production with her, and she said something that really resonated with me that Doc then echoed, which is like once you've done all of the planning and you've geared up for this incredible experience you're going to be bringing to life, then you're just in problem solving mode. Like, how quickly and calmly can you solve problems? Because they're going to come at you real fast. When 11,000 people are in the room, they're going to come at you real fast, right? And you're going to need to figure out how to be confident and capable and skilled enough and understand the vision that you're creating to be able to solve them quickly. And I think that really is one of the most important parts of all of this, and something we can learn as people who maybe are not doing these kinds of things often, but are in our home studios, creating podcasts, creating live streams and video content. Understanding that mindset is still going to help us create better productions in the smaller, I hate using that word, but smaller projects that we're doing every day. Would you agree, Fuljens? What's the hardest part about these kinds of large scale productions that you've been doing recently?
Definitely. So I agree with you. First of all, the planning process, right? So Jill and I had at least 2 or 3 meetings leading up to, and this is where, we are basically laying out what to expect. We're putting a list together of like what gear I should be bringing, what gear she should bring in, things of that nature. But when we arrive the day of, we started setting up at like say 10 a.m. and we're troubleshooting and setting up and testing out live streams up until the actual event started, which is around like 6 p.m. It was an entire day
Hours. Yeah.
of that. Hours.
Talk about
hours
tech
of
check.
that.
Yeah.
It's funny because you have definitely, everybody here has done this before, at least once. So you want to go make something as simple as breakfast, and you got this idea what you're going to do. Everybody except Katie. I'm going to take Katie off the list because she just walked outside and solved this problem.
I gotcha.
I have definitely went in the fridge and I've grabbed the onions and the bacon, the bell peppers, the whole 9 yards. Like, I'm going to make a proper Denver, right? I get everything chopped. My mirepoix is on point. My bacon is going down in the oven. Open up the fridge. Open the egg thing. 1 egg. Oh, hell no. Like 1 egg. Katie goes outside and just open the little hooch and like get all the rest of them eggs, and she's good. But like the rest of us, I got to go to the grocery store. Bacon going to get burnt, or it's going to lose that crunch that happens when you first get them out, fresh baked. And so we've all done it before. So to me, in this, I saw Mary Lou. I'm about to mix up my Mary Ann's and my Mary Lou's. Mary Lou just dropped in the chat, like the pre-production is game. And I feel this whether you're doing your own personal show, whether you're doing a live event or whatever, pre-production is everything. So do not be that person with the full Denver going and find out you got 1 egg. That's going to be a very terrible omelet with 1 egg.
Well, and every one of those mistakes matters so much more. So like you were saying, Fulgens, that like, the initial kind of planning stages, like this is where the gear does come in, right? Where it's like, what do we need to bring? And I know even in the conversations that Doc and Jill and I have had in planning out Card Party and some of these other events are like, okay, who brings what? Because also like, A, we need all the stuff there, but B, we need to make sure we get it there in the most cost efficient way. We need to make sure that like, how it all comes together. Do we actually need everything? Because if you don't have the thing that you need in the moment, it's going to be 5 times the cost, both in time and money, to try to find that piece of gear at the local, Best Buy or B&H or wherever is nearby, if that's even nearby. In some cases, you're out on the road. So the stakes are higher, both in like, it's not as easy to solve problems in the moment, and missing stuff and messing up stuff is much harder to deal with than it would be if you were in your own space, because we're comfy in our spaces. We know we're generally, maybe not me, because my office is always a bit of a mess, but generally I know where like all the cables are. I know where all the like backups are. I know what could happen and how I would solve it. But if I just have my backpack and I forgot my camera, or I forgot, something that was really obvious, that's going to matter a whole lot more. I'm going to be spending time and money to replace it because I'll need to have it for the show.
I think, so we know the gear part side of it and the pre-planning part side of it, but a very important part of it is, sort of your flow. And then Caleb brought up in the chat here, in every venue, even with proper planning, there's going to be a surprise situation. So problem solving is key, right?
Yep.
The one thing that I will say with a level of aplomb that I'm super good at when it comes to production is problem solving. And part of the reason is I've done so many productions. A lot of the problems that I'm seeing are not first time problems. And even if I run into a first time problem, I absolutely know 100% because I've seen what happens when the director or producer panics. It normally gets worse. So I do everything in my power to belay panic in my team and whoever I'm working with. I'm like, panic is not going to solve anything. So leave that alone. What can we do now? What is the quickest thing that we can do to get, 10% further to the goal? And you just keep moving it a little bit. Mm-hmm. So one thing that I think not enough people do is have, and you mentioned this in the document, Katie, with the flow, have an idea that if this breaks, do X. If this breaks, do X. If this breaks, do X. Yep. Right? Yep. And so planning for those contingencies ahead of time, because I tell you one, as Caleb just mentioned, the internet and the venue will never be
internet's always going to be
what
a problem.
They said it is.
Always.
They lie. Yep. They lie. It is never going to be what you want it to. And the sad part is I realized full stop because Jill and I did a presentation in Mexico. It's here because we have medical conferences and like engineering conferences and sort of highfalutin conferences like drug companies that will easily drop 15 grand on an internet connection. We are never going to get the hotels to give us a cheap connection. Jill and I were in Cancun, and the free Wi-Fi in the hotel was faster than any event I've ever been to. I mean, you're basically on gig fiber walking around the hotel. So we never had to get a different connection because over there, the expectation is you're supposed to have a fast internet throughout the entire property. You could walk anywhere. You could be in the bathroom and you got high speed. Over here, because companies are dumb enough to pay for it, and we have, sadly enough, we just have companies that are greedy. They're going to charge you 15 grand for something you haven't had in your home for 12, 15 years. Like it's like a 3x3 connection, which means like 3 megabits up, 3 megabits per second down. They want 15 grand for, where I can get 1,000 up down in Mexico for free just walking into the taqueria. Like, it's really simple. Yeah, it's really silly.
Jill made sure that Jill actually put her foot down and made sure that we had like a proper internet connection, because otherwise, and what are we doing here, right? We don't want to just do a recording. We want to make sure this goes out live. And even after we had the internet connection, we literally started a live stream. We went out to lunch. We left the live stream running, and then we're watching it from our phones to make sure that we basically had to battle test this thing to make sure that this thing is going to run smoothly the entire time, which it did, thankfully.
And that's actually a really smart test that people I don't think really think through when you're in that moment. That we say it all the time when we're like just in our home studios. It's like, do an actual test, do a real test, do it as a live stream. But how important is it in that moment? Because we all know that internet is going to be like definitely on that list of things that can and will go wrong. So yeah, I think that's really smart to kind of just do a stress test from the actual space.
A really good one right here. Understanding the overall intention and the why of the production can help you determine what's an important problem and what's insignificant, because it's easy to get caught up and you're solving the wrong problem. And it's like, yeah, that's not going to make or break the show per se. We can let that one go. So for instance, if we were doing a concert and, we're producing the Eagles live stream, and they're like, oh, we want to do this song. And we're like, you have to have room for Hotel California. If you don't do Hotel California, there will be a riot, and we don't want no riot. So let's get that one solved. And after that, you do whatever you want. But the only thing that matters at the Eagles show is Hotel California got to come out. If it don't, there will be fisticuffs, and we don't want to deal with that. Mary Lou said, yes, and the decisiveness, you make the choices and make it fast and then deal with it 100%. You have absolutely have to have your rip the Velcro decision-making going and just know that
No
is
apologies.
Yeah, no
There's
apologies.
no time for I'm sorry.
100%. You just gotta just like run with it. Joe said the NACC was the first time we ever got the upload speed that we were promised, but we also had backup, right? and language to keep us safe if it went down. Yes, very, very, very important. Okay, so when we're thinking about that decision flow, which is very good, I guess the next thing. So importantly, production is basically what you do ahead of time to make sure that the show seems like it was easy. Steve Jobs used to tell us the perception between magic and reality. Like if you can blur that line, that's when it's good. That's Disney's whole thing, right? I know Paul's in the chat. That's Disney's entire thing. Like there's so much going on that we have no idea, but you're not supposed to have an idea. And you shouldn't be thinking about, you don't even, how can I say this? It's going to sound super stupid. You don't even get to the part where you're thinking, I wonder how they did that. Because Katie and Paul pointed out to me when I was in my first Disney experience that when we walked from the Toy Story section into the Star Wars section, the entire environment changed. And you notice it, but you don't notice it. I don't know how to explain that. Mrs. Field chocolate chip cookies has black pepper in it. Not a single person knows that unless you've heard the rumors. You don't taste the black pepper, but it completely changes why that cookie tastes so damn good.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the kind of secret ingredient. So with that in mind, I guess, Fuljens, explain to me, what is NACC, and then what was the production goal for NACC?
Mm-hmm. So the NACC is a National Acapella convention, and this is for, oh my gosh, these kids are amazing. So these are high school kids, and some of them were, I believe, were in junior high school. Some of them seem much younger than high school kids. They're actually on here putting these high-end a cappella performances on stage in front of their fellow classmates. Let me tell you, this thing needs to be like on America's Got Talent.
Yeah, it's like
any of those
Pitch
shows.
Perfect
Like they could instantly kill any of those shows. That's how good and talented these kids are. These kids need to be performing on stage during the halftime show at the basketball game, like the Orlando Magic game, the Miami Heat. Like that is that damn good, right? So we had to basically take that energy that they're putting on stage and push that out live and make it look as good as it looks in person.
Oh, so wait, did they have a Flula Borg like walking around?
I don't know what that is.
On Pitch Perfect, the tall German dude, that's Flula Borg. If you've never seen his stuff, he is super funny. On YouTube, he does this thing where he helps you with your math homework. It is incredible. But I just remember him from Pitch Perfect being the tall German dude, like in there when they're in their little Pitch Perfect battle, like the funniest character ever. So
the MC was really good. The MC was very entertaining.
So what? Yeah. So what was the absolute goal? Like, what were you guys trying to do? And like, I guess if you had to say, what was the key ingredient to knowing that this was going to be a dope production?
First of all, Jill definitely wanted to do the most.
We're talking Jill. That goes unstated.
Yes. So we had to have multiple camera angles. So let me just start with that. We had one wide shot from the back of the stage, from the back of the room. Then we had another shot off to the left of the room. This was the 70 to 200, so we can get like some nice close-up shots of the performances. That was the second one. The third one was a wide shot. This is a Sigma 16 shot from the floor of the stage. To get some really nice close-up shots from the floor of the stage. And then we had the secret sauce shot. This was a wireless camera shot. We had Johnny come in to help us on the team as well. So Johnny was on a wireless camera. Basically, he could just freestyle and just move around the entire room. So we had 4 shots all together, and we were capturing the audio through a shotgun mic. So basically capturing the overall ambiance of everything, not necessarily capturing the audio from the sound guys. We're just capturing the entire room, all the energy from the room, which turned out really good on the live stream.
That's cool. And then being able to mix that in, because you do want to give that feeling. Sometimes I do think live performances can sometimes be sterile because everybody's so stuck on the perfection side of it. And then I don't know where my music freaks in the audience are, but some of my favorite albums are the live recordings of albums, right? I have every Jay-Z thing in the planet, but Jay-Z Limp Bizkit Unplugged, if you could like burn a hole in a track from playing it too much, I've always just listened to that over and over again because there's little subtleties in there and you kind of hear things that you didn't hear before and you're like listening and it's that vibe of the audience in the background making noise. And, you know, when they bring out Jaguar Wright and you just like, oh my God, like nobody knew that was happening. You know, like it's something about those live performances just do so well. And I really like that. And Johnny, Katie has your live production T-shirt.
We sent him a photo. I had to get it. I'm Team Johnny from here on
wait,
out.
I'm gonna put this photo
Johnny.
on real quick. Sorry, this is gonna be terrible production, but deal with it. All right, so Jill guys made these T-shirts, right? It's the live stream team, and like this one says Fuljens on the sleeve, and Katie was like, "Oh, I'm gonna order one of these shirts," and somehow she ordered the one that says Johnny. So yeah. Katie has a T-shirt that says.
To be
Johnny.
clear, it was clearly labeled Johnny, not for resale, and I was like, "Well, this is like I don't know what my mind was thinking, but I'm really happy with the decision."
So Katie's gonna be at Starbucks one day or somewhere getting takeout, and they'll be like, "Johnny." Johnny,
Team Johnny forever.
Katie, she like looking around. It's like, hey, you, miss, I'm talking to you. Oh, yeah.
I'm going to respond to only that. I love it. Well, I want to know, like, so we've been talking a bunch about like the kind of the setup and the things that could go wrong. What did you prep for that you think made the biggest difference? Like, what was the thing that like you're like, okay, from here on out, we need to do this kind of step in the prep and pre-production phase?
Definitely. So the setup process when it comes to the gear, knowing what cameras and what lens to use and everything, so we could basically capture the overall aesthetics, that was really important. The internet part was important as well. But it's something that you mentioned earlier. We didn't have everything. There were some things that we needed, and we had to get them locally. Right, so that was another thing, and making sure that you do your research and finding out where the local gear shops are. Because don't expect to come to Florida and find a B&H.
Yeah, Doc is super good at this. Everywhere we are, he's like, "Let me tell you where all the Best Buys are." Where all the he's like, right. He just knows where everything is. It's huge.
Yeah, and then I believe Jill rented locally these headpieces because communication between myself, Jill, and Johnny throughout the room, that was really important. So we each had these headpieces that we had to rent. And going back to doing the most, we need the wireless shot. So Jill also rented the wireless HDMI transmitters as well. But making sure that I'm trying to see if I can find the name of the store or the stores that we went to, or Jill was able to get that. But I'll just drop it in the chat if I find that.
I would tell you firsthand, one of the big ones is lensrental.com. They have a massive selection of things that you can use. And I really do like them as I need to do something where I need a bunch of stuff and I don't want to drag a bunch of stuff. It works really, really, really good. So lensrental.com is quite amazing.
And ShareGrid.
And ShareGrid is also very, very good. So yeah, those are good to know. I'm gonna put a link in the chat too. So anybody that ever needs some comms, these are some really great comms, because I think a lot of people forget that you can rent these things. And so they go out and they buy a bunch of gear they don't need. And as a matter of fact, I will go as far as to say, if you are building a podcast studio of your own, you go into the Ecamm Facebook group, you start asking questions, and everybody says, oh, get a Sony ZV-E10, and then get this type of lens and this other type of lens. And what happens is if you go out and you drop 400 or 500 bones on the lens, and then you say, like, that didn't really work in my space, but it made sense, right? For instance, I have a lovely Sigma 16 sitting in here, which I love. Phenomenal lens. It's just a wee bit too short for this particular setup. So I ended up switching to a 17 to 28, and then I roll it into like 22, because 24 is too wide. And then, 20 is too wide, 24 is too skinny. I needed it in the middle. So I had to go get a lens with some range. And I bought a 24, and of course, me, the idiot, bought a G Master. So that ain't cheap. That's 2 G's, right? I bought the Sigma 16, which is way too wide, and that's $500. And then I got this lens, which is like $800, which kind of like sits in the middle. Could have gone to lens rental, rent it, find the one that works, and then if you decide to make a purchase, they will give you a discount. And oftentimes they sell their used lenses. Like they'll have a checkbox. They say, we rented this like 100 times. Let's sell it and then replace it so that somebody doesn't have a failure, in the streets. So you can buy stuff from them real cheap. So KEH lens rental, and there's one more that begins with an M that I don't need to remember because Matt's going to remember for me. Because
Yeah, I think the important thing there though to keep in mind that I haven't really, I think, fully appreciated until I started participating in more of these style of events. But what's like, you are never going to win in those moments in like what you just said there, right? Like the prep that was the most important was understanding what pieces of tech you really needed and why. But the why really matters there, right? Like, so knowing exactly like what is the shot you want to get, what is the shot that you need, what is the best, easiest, most affordable, fastest way to get that shot. Because going out and trying to find, any of these places, like walking into to this photo and hobby shop in Orlando, like you need to be able to make these like fast decisions, right? You're like, I need this specific camera, this specific lens because I need to get this shot, or I need that wireless transmitter because we know we want to capture this experience. So it's, again, like in these kinds of production environments, what actually really, really matters is a very clear understanding of what experience you're building and what the client is envisioning you have. So like the run of show here is actually much more important than the run of show that we do every day on, we can change up what we're talking about here in the show. We can respond to like user comments. We can do whatever, and it's still going to be a good show. But if we were out in a live event space and the client needed us to capture, the energy of the audience, and we chose the wrong camera or we didn't have the right microphone or whatever, we wouldn't be able to deliver on that goal. So I think it is like the gear is important, but it actually is like understanding what the gear is set to accomplish, because those decisions are what really make a big difference.
Yes,
100%.
Perfect example. So the wide shot that we had in the back of the room, that's capturing the entire audience and the stage. Sometimes, like I would say, some of these groups were like 20 deep, so they're from like one end of the stage to the other. So you're not going to get that with a close-up shot. So we had the 24/7.
Can't leave anyone out.
Right. And that capture like the overall wide shot of the crowd. So now when it comes time for action, Jill was on the 72-200 on the left side of the stage, being able to get like nice close-ups, and she's like doing all these zoom in, zoom out tricks. It came out so freaking dope. And then sometimes on the floor shot, some of these kids, like, they do stuff like when they kneel down or like they're going low on the floor. So we cut to the floor shot and it captures that perfectly. And again, Johnny, especially like when the kids are all over the room, we're like, hey, Johnny, we need you on the left side of the stage. Johnny, we need you on the right. Johnny, turn to the crowd. So Johnny's getting all the shots that the cameras, which are basically stagnant, can't get. That's where Johnny comes in.
This is really cool.
Johnny, most important role.
Yes, Johnny was very important.
Oh wait, I was like, you guys should be able to hear me. Why can't you hear me? And I purposely
we're just sitting here in deadly silence.
No, I purposely said it so that it would work. What I said in this setup here was, this is what they're showing you, and this kind of give you an idea of the main computer. And then, there's your Ecamm, your extra monitor. And then what I said was, Fuljens, what was that red thing? Because my brain just went red. What was that?
Which red thing?
The one with the red cord coming out. Yeah.
Oh, I actually don't remember.
No, there you go.
It's a red cable.
That's fine. Yeah, red,
that's fine. I don't think that was ours.
Oh, that was probably the direct boxes to get the sound back into the main board for you guys, for the guy standing next to you.
Exactly. Yeah. Some of our stuff was just kind of like just neighboring with each other. Yeah.
Dude, he looks like small Groot.
Yeah.
What I love, and you can't see it in this specific shot, although look at Jill looking awesome.
Why?
But at the beginning of that video, what's really neat too is that like you can see that the camera angles, right? Like, so you like, how cool are these kids?
For sure.
but Ooh, this would be some music. But you can see like the camera angles are done in such a way that like you really do. You said earlier, Fulgens, that like really the goal here was to bring this experience to life for people who are not in the room. So like even just the positioning of the cameras, the camera angles to make you feel like you're like in like part like so close that you're like right there, part of it, like this the panning back, the camera angles and the camera switching again also like really important in creating a vibe, right? Like really making sure that people knew what it was like to be in that room. The smoke, the Jill dancing. It's but like honestly like that like it in the same way that like it really matters when we're doing a podcast and thinking through like how the guest feels, what the live chat is saying, what like how that contributes to the conversation. In an in-person experience, the visuals, the audio, like all of those pieces are coming together to make someone feel like they are part of that experience, even if they're not physically in the room. Like that's where you win.
What's
yeah,
funny,
I think
Katie?
you guys did a great job with it.
This is back to back, and we were talking about this yesterday. The key element is experience. And I really wanted people to grab their head on this. Right now, again, Charlie from YouTube was speaking about, you want your shows to be sort of like TV shows. You want to bring the audience into the same experience that they're used to watching when they're watching television. And so what Fuljens and Jill and Johnny were able to pull off was anybody who was at home, not only they feel like they're there, but, feel like they're at any other TV show. And that doesn't necessarily mean you got to overcomplicate things. One of the best TV shows ever, if you're into movies and film, was, what's his face? James, artist, my brain just went dumb. The Artist Table. When he's just sitting there, and
like James.
it's literally, he's just sitting there in his posh jacket. He's having a conversation with the artist and getting you that sort of that inside the mind of these people who create films. And it's not overly produced, but the conversation is good, and you're just sitting there. And although we found out things later, I used to watch the heck out of Charlie Rose because he used to just sit there, at the table, just two people at the table having a conversation, but you felt like you were a fly on the wall. You felt like you were there. And when you can bring those sort of experiences to people, you should always be thinking about it as an experience. Unfortunately, what too many people do is they get caught up on how many people are watching, not what is the quality of what it is that they're watching. And quality doesn't necessarily mean overproduction. Quality means, like Marianne said it a while ago, the storytelling, the engagement, can I get this person hooked in? And everybody has that uncle or that auntie or that grandparent who, when they start telling stories, like the whole family just sits down and looks at them like, and you're in there, I remember that one time in WWII, me and the boys, we was coming over the hill. Like we used to sit on the floor and just look at my grandpa like, oh, my grandpa's a superhero. So that's where you want to get to. Find that person in your family who you can remember was the storyteller, and remind yourself, if you can deliver what that person used to deliver for you as a kid to your audience, you instantly win.
Mm-hmm. And also having fun, because like I was in love with this event, like, and thank you so much, Jill, for bringing me on board. Because like, if you're energized and you're in love with the event, like that's gonna show in your production as well. And not only worrying about like who's live, but think about the recording that Ecamm is going to produce for you at the end. You're gonna have that recording, so NACC can be able to say, hey, this is our stream, or here's our recording, here's some clips, and take that to any freaking sponsor they want, and they'll be sold because this thing was amazing.
Yeah.
That's smart.
Yeah, I think that really I think that really goes a long way. And Jill said it in the comments, which I think is a super important thing for us to call out. And we're on a mission to try to help all of you with this, but getting out and volunteering and giving of yourself to a local event like this, from a production standpoint, if this is important to you and this is a space that you want to continue to grow in, getting out and being part of these kinds of events is huge. So we're going to continue to share opportunities that come up as we see them in all of these different parts of the country and parts of Canada and the UK and everywhere else. Because it's like, one thing for us to do it, and that's great, but we want to empower you all to do it because you're the people who are going to be able to turn this into a business, take on clients, make a real difference, which I think is going to be huge.
Okay, Johnny over here producing the show from like across the dang country. You know what, Johnny? Listen, here you go. Here you go. So this was the mobile podcast setup that they set up. Katie, don't cough yourself to death over there. And yeah, this is really cool. I like the setup. Put your 2 chairs, put your battery in the back, set your cameras up, and I like this camera setup because you got camera A looking at one person, camera B looking at the other, and C pulling the wide shot. And this is just amazing little setup and super easy to pull off.
3 little Ozbots.
It sounds like that one of those little nursery rhymes.
Three little Ozbots sitting on it, sing-songy.
Yeah, we're gonna have to come up with a song and then send it over to the team. 3 little Ozbots, 3 little Ozbots chilling in Ozbot Lane.
Matt actually has a question that's really similar to what I was going to ask as well, is like, looking back, would you have done anything differently? PTZ cams, overhead shots, like anything that you would have changed?
Looking back, not necessarily. I think that, you know, the time that we invested in making sure we got the setup that we want to, we were thoroughly satisfied. And I don't know, call me old school. Jill agrees as well. We both agreed that we kind of preferred the cameras that we're using. Some people, you know, kind of preferred using the Ozbots at PTZs, but we wanted to use cameras where we just had to basically be concerned with the hardware, not necessarily adding extra software into the mix. The only software we wanted to be concerned in using was Ecamm. That's it. So anything where we have like physical buttons that we can press, we have like physical cameras we can go and change the ISO and shutter speed directly from the camera. That's my jam. That's my jam. So we were thoroughly pleased with the way things went. The only other thing that we kind of learned was we're using the Rodecaster Video as the camera switcher, which is a 1080, and we had 4K wireless HDMI transmitter, so we're not able to get the 4K into the Rodecaster Video. So the floor shot was a wireless HDMI. We had that separate. We had that separate on purpose because it's a floor shot, so we can get like sensitive stuff. So we didn't have that in the Rodecaster Video. We had that as a separate shot in Ecamm itself, where we can monitor that much closely. But as a result, we were able to get a full 4K image from there because it wasn't into the Rodecaster Video. Other than that, thoroughly satisfied.
So and I'm glad you brought this up because this is something that goes missed by people. And I don't know whether it's a case of just not knowing or because the companies do so much into talking about their sort of ease of use and wireless capability that people forget that you absolutely can 112% control Ozbots through hardware. As a matter of fact, for this type of events, I highly suggest you do it. And you want like a PTZ,
physical push buttons for the win.
Yeah, a PTZ controller. So I'm gonna pull one up and throw it on the screen for a second. They're not very expensive, and in a way, this is a smarter way to do it. Now, there's even newer ones than what I'm going to show you that now have screens and whatnot. But by using a physical PTZ controller, you get the exact same things that you would get if you're using a mirrorless camera, but you're doing it to control multiple sort of PTZ cameras, things like the Ozbot or PTZ optics or things of that nature. So I highly recommend in this type of event, if you're doing this sort of thing, man, let me drag the image. There we go. You use something like this. This is a hardware controller. It can control up to 10 cameras. And you even have a little screen, so you see the preview in there. I don't know if this will let me zoom beyond.
That's cool.
But there is a little camera. You see there's a lady playing a guitar, a lady at the lectern. I'm sorry, she's all at the lectern, just different angles. But you basically just trigger these by pulling the button. And so your zoom in, zoom out, your adjustments, it's all there. Because you're correct. What you don't want to do is to try to do these things in the software. Ecamm can do it. But for this type of event, it's called the right tool for the right job, right? So you absolutely can carry plywood in, Katie's Subaru accent, but it's better in my Tacoma because That's what Tacoma is for. The accent is for dragging kids to practice and putting that gigantic dog in the back and taking it to the vet. You know, that dog in the back of my Tacoma, Odin's gonna be like, I can fly, gone. Hey, where you went? You know what I mean? Squirrel,
Yeah.
gone, right? So not, even though they do the same thing, you know, as far as going to go and get donkeys, but when it comes to doing like a task-oriented thing, you want to do task-oriented stuff, right? Neither one of us are going to drive our cars on the F1 track. It wouldn't work too well. You know what I mean? So this is one of those things where you set yourself up. I feel for these type of events, honestly, PTZs are way better because of the amount of stuff that they can do, but they also travel easier, you know, because it just all fit 3 in the case. But it does require some learning. And if you haven't done it, you just don't have the experience of doing it. But when you look at the Super Bowl or an Olympics or all of the above, there's so many PTZ cameras.
Yeah.
That thing that's on a string flying around the stadium that runs down the sideline with your favorite player, it's a PTZ camera on a string. It's called Skyhawk.
A flying PTZ camera.
Oh, it's amazeballs. Like when you figure out what they've done and how fast those motors can drag that thing to any position on the field. You got Hawkeye is the one that lets you know like goal line technology when you're watching the instant replays and all of those above. Like, yeah, like those are pretty crazy.
Well, Jill wants to know about the moments on the tracking camera coordinated with the music. Jill's producing from at home.
Listen, again, so Jill was on that tracking camera, and Jill did a phenomenal job on there because this woman was zooming in and cutting to like basically she was on every single beat. So if they were like doing some boo 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 boo, like she was on the lens like boo 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 boo, like zooming in, zooming out. This thing was incredible. And you know, every time, you know, I can confidently cut back to a wide shot or cut to Johnny's shot, and I know when I cut back to Jill's shot, Jill has some crazy shot already lined up. Like I have no other thing to say about it. She was absolutely amazing on there.
That's pretty wild. Mary Lou says, anything come up when you were mid-production and thought it would be great if we had this next time?
Yeah, Mary Lou's joining us for a card party coming up here in a month. So she's scoping out. She's planning out here. Great question.
Well, now that you mentioned the PTZs, but honestly, you know, thankfully for me, you know, I have you know, gear that I can like put to use. I don't have to like, if I have something, I'm not gonna like go out and get something else, right? I have multiple mirrorless cameras, multiple lens, microphones, you name it, right? So it's about what having, you know, putting to use what you already have, right? And it came across well on the live stream, the production, everything looked flawless. You wouldn't think that, you know, I was using a Sony A7S II versus a Sony FX, one of the latest Sony FX, right? You wouldn't know that, but it everything worked the way it should.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know. I can't think of anything
that
where
doesn't even matter.
I would have to invest in something additional, extra, whatever the case might be. Yeah.
So many people forget that. Like for a locked off shot, that doesn't matter. You're not going to notice. Okay, it would be absolutely insane to say that they're the same because they're not. But in a locked off position, you ain't going to notice the difference. Like there's nothing that one does at the other, especially we're not dealing with autofocus, we're not dealing with any of the stuff that made it get better. Your wide locked off shot can be like a 40-year-old camera half the time. It's pretty crazy. And unfortunately, people get themselves caught up. There is one thing, having matching cameras does make life way easier because when you go to put the footage together, they all look the same. But that's not a must. Like nowadays with the technology of, you know, being able to match color and things of that nature, it's extra production, but it's not a complete problem.
Mm-hmm. There's one thing I would say. Oh, sorry, Katie. I just want to say real quick. There's one thing I want to say, like something that we should definitely have next time that we're already reusing was definitely the headsets. So this way we can continue to communicate with each other no matter where we are throughout the room. That was like one of the most helpful tools that we had to keep the communication going.
Comms is life.
Yeah. Yeah, comms definitely is life. I was going to say too, like there is something really important actually about using gear that you already have, because there's also a familiarity and a comfort level with it. Where everything is on that gear, how to use it in that instance. So versus if you're renting something that you haven't used before, there is still going to be a learning curve, even if you're comfortable with the general practices of what it would do. So I think that, that's something to consider.
I will add something to that, Kate, when it comes to comfort levels with gear. There's a pet peeve of mine.
I'm always pet peeving you.
No, people. Okay, so I know a whole bunch of people in the chat right now have a ZV-E10, right? Not this bad camera, it's perfect camera, right? They know how to turn it on. They know how to put it in autofocus mode. They know how to put it in auto mode, and that's it. They don't know any of the other stuff that it can do. And so a lot of times the reason why we're looking for something else is we haven't taken the time to learn how to use the gear. The amount of people that come in and say, how does Ecamm have like a compressor? I want to do this thing, blah, blah, blah. All right, what's your setup? Well, I got a Mac Mini, a camera, and a Rodecaster Pro. And I'm like, you have a compressor. It's right in your desk. Use it. But I want to do it in the Ecamm thing because that's making it more complicated. You have a compressor on your desk. Turn it on. Press the button. Oh, I don't know how to do that. Bro, like, it's YouTube. I don't know how to do that. Should not come out of your mouth, bro. We got YouTube. We got ChatGPT. We got Claude. You can go to any one of these things. I'm about to do an event, and I have an Osbot Tail 2, and I want to know all of the things that it can do that might help me with this event. Build me a 7-day, 15 minutes a day lesson plan to make sure that I have this stuff wired, and it will do exactly that. I saw this production that Fuljens and Jill went on. Here's the link. I want to know how to do that. Take it apart for me. Boom. Take this exact stream. Throw it at the same thing. Fuljens told me all the answers, but I need you to make it the way I understand things. Boom. There's no reason at all other than pure laziness not to know how to do something. And this is something I'm still training my family with, because my family, especially the person on the other side of that window, love to ask me, hey, how do you do so-and-so? And I'm like, lady, ask Claude first, and then come to me if you don't get it. Because when I explain it to you, I'm being mean, I'm impatient, whatever. You know what? Claude's not mean or impatient. And she's going to tell you the same thing I'm going to tell you that won't require us to get into our karate stances and start throwing blows. So just ask it first and then ask me.
I love it. That's great. I mean, that's a great advice to get a better understanding of some of the tools that you have and to learn through.
Johnny is so stupid.
I like it.
Mary Lou,
Johnny's just volunteering for everything.
It's a Johnny first. What you need
I'll
is
send you the t-shirt. It's not the same, but it's close. I want to ask, what is something that newer producers and people who are in this space really worry about that actually doesn't really matter? Like, what is the thing that you were like concerned about when you first got into starting to do these kinds of events that now you're like, oh, actually that wasn't as important as I thought it was?
That's a good question. For me, it was just a matter of doing it, right? I started doing this in actually the in-person aspect during COVID, and I wasn't worried about necessarily making mistakes or whatnot. I was just doing it and then having fun also. I couldn't wait to do it. I'm like, I get to actually do some actual video production. So I'm not thinking about, what people are thinking or what's going to go wrong. I'm just want to do it and learn along the way. And also I have inspiration, so especially during that time, and being new in the Ecamm group, in the Ecamm Facebook group, and seeing what Doc was doing, seeing what Liceo, seeing what Lem and DJ Strick and all these folks were doing, and Marshall and stuff like that. I had like a lot of people to like basically Adrian, just like I had a lot of people to kind of like look and see and learn from. So I didn't have any excuse to worry or to, second guess things, So
before
I'm like, if you look at all these people doing what they're doing, I'm like, I can do this as well.
Yeah.
Very brilliant.
Yeah. I love this. I'm like double checking all of my questions. What I think so I'll preface this question by saying that when we were all at TubeFest, that we just got back from, there we did a speaker panel at the very, very end of the day. And I don't even know what the question was, but the woman that was sitting next to me answered and said that that she used to make vision boards. And like every year she used to be like, this is my vision board for the year. This is the person I want to be. These are the projects I want to work on, etc. And now she makes anti-vision boards. These are the things I don't want to do. This is the person I don't want to be, right? And this really resonated with me. And so I guess my question is like, is there something that when you first started with, doing these kinds of productions that you used to do that now you don't like, that you've crossed off your list, is on your anti-board?
Something that I used to do that I don't do anymore is on my anti-board. I can't think of anything right now, actually. I think I've been pretty consistent throughout the years. Like, that's something that, I'm not sure. I have to give that some more thought. Yeah. Like, I
love your energy. You're like, no, I'm amazing at this. Every one of us needs to be more like
If it's not broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
It is funny though that you say that, Katie, because it's something that I talk to my people about all the time. I do that for my chat bots. I'm like, these are the creators that I like and I model. These are the points that I live by. Don't deviate from these. And if I ever sound like any one of these 5 people, tell me right away. Like, that is an absolute no-no. I do not want to sound anything like that. I don't like the way they move. I don't like their actions. It's just not. So I definitely tell it, to remind me if I ever catch myself, saying something like, oh, get athletic greens because, well, they really would. No, they don't. It's just, no, they don't. Don't believe that.
I also do want to say, I think I probably like simplified things a much better, like in terms of being graphic heavy, because I was kind of like modeling my productions after what I was seeing on TV. And there was a time where I was learning how to do keynote graphics from Bradley Vincent. So I was going all in, doing all the bells and whistles, fly in, fly out, flip this, flip that. It looked good at the time. And when I go back and watch those videos, I'm like, wow, I was doing all that. That's dope. But I don't really see myself doing that now. Or I've like kind of like scaled back.
None of my business.
Yeah.
For sure.
I will say, so the one that I learned, and I am not like, I am usually the sidekick on these projects, so I'm definitely not the main producer. But the one thing that we definitely learned at our first ever card party that we were producing was that, I went back to Marshall, who, as you all know, is like an incredible designer, and I'm like, we're going to this card party event. It's going to be, we want it to be super fun. It's Pokemon. I want like fun graphics, animations, little video clips. So Marshall designed the most incredible Ecamm profile, like so fun. Everything's moving, bright colors, things that pop up. And we get to the actual production where Daniel's helping us. We got the whole team. The Ecamm and our computers could not handle the powerfulness of this profile that Marshall had built. Like, it was just like, so we actually had to like get rid of all those files, cut everything down, simplify, like reduce, as many videos as we could down to like the absolute minimum. No one would have known the difference if I had just done something that was simpler, easier, because the benefit of the production isn't in all of those crazy flying elements and all that fun stuff that maybe would be fun at home, like if I had a computer that could handle it, but is the people, the experience, the camera switching, the things in the room. So that was mine that got added to my anti-vision board list, where I was just like, nope, never again. Doc was right. Hashtag Doc was right.
No. And so, okay, so here's where I got that from. In real world experience, right? A lot of times when I was doing like woodworking things, right? We're building things for restaurants and stores, and architects, they see these techniques in these architect conferences or books that they read or whatever, and they will put some stuff on the blueprint that just looks incredible. And of course, the owner of the restaurant or the store is like, yeah. And then they come to us and we're like, wood does not do that. Like, you can't do that. If I was making this in plastic, maybe, but we're trying to do this in wood to give off the whole like Hawaii situation, right? Because we got good wood out here. And it's like, you can't do that. Like, wood does not do what you're asking it to. So what happens when the designer builds these profiles and they don't make videos, video don't do what print does. It's different. So a lot of the stuff that you're seeing or you see people do, there is a dedicated machine running that graphic. It's called a Chiron or a Quantel paint box or a Harriet. And these are $2 million machines. So the graphic that you see when you see Cletus run across and throws the football, that's not a Mac Mini, my boy. Like that is a Quantel paint box. Cletus is not After Effects. Your machine can't do that. It's different. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, one of the things about Ecamm is we do make things seem so easy that people do take it too far. And it's like, the reality of it is, if you ask this question, is that for you and your ego? Is it for the audience? Because if I would have run Cletus across the screen right now, for those who are uninitiated, Cletus is the robot football thing on Fox Sports on Sunday morning, right? His name is Cletus because, football cleats, get it? If I was to run that across the screen right now, what is that going to do for this show? Right? If I had Toe Mater go, like, goddamn car, that doesn't do anything for this show. Even right now, a twirling Ecamm logo brings no value to this show. The value is Fuljens Henry sitting in the middle explaining you what he did. It has nothing to do with this purple background is stationary. The information is the same as if I made it an animated purple background. It changes nothing. You are pumping your ego for nothing. And it's not about you. It's about your audience. Now, if we had a ticker in the bottom with valuable information that's going to help you save 15% in your car insurance by switching to Geico, that animation is worth
Not
it.
mad.
Right?
Not sponsored.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, Gecko is a state animal. But yeah, people, you really got to ask yourself, who's this for? Is it for me? Is it for my ego? Am I trying to show off to the other people in the Ecamm community? Like, who is this for? And people say, oh, your show looks so good. Like, what are you doing? I got 2 scenes, dude. Me and Mary Lou. That's about our scenes. Or when we do the flow, there's me and Katie. There is the question and answer box. And then there's the, which we get stole from Fuljens, by the way. And then there's there's the goodbye box. Like, that's it. Like, we're not overcomplicated. People be out here doing crazy stuff, bro, for nothing. Oh, my God. Okay, Mary Lou wants to know, what role did Ecamm play in making this production better than it would have been without it?
Ooh. So the,
I like the way you said
video
that.
production was one thing, Mary Lou, but let me tell you something. There was a second Ecamm involved. And the second Ecamm had all the video graphics that were going up on the stage behind the performers. And that made it so much easier to the point where Jill, who is at that station, can actually get up and leave and assign that to anybody, and they know exactly which scene to click to. That was like that changed the game right there.
Forget Keynote.
Aside from the video production itself.
We've got you covered. I love it.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
I love it.
And I guess, again, these are the things that, you wouldn't think about, but you can use the second machine as the sort of background display, right? You can use the second machine. What we do with it at Card Party, which is very interesting, we use the second machine to build what would be like the preview for the stream for the people that are talking, right? So like imagine Fuljens and Katie and myself sitting on a table instead of in 3 different locations. We have a TV on the floor that has an Ecamm computer plugged into it. And so it's bringing in the live feed from the production machine, and it has a notes document that is open where I'm typing, okay, 5 minutes, or stretch this out or shrink this up or whatever. So there's a live communication elements, and then there's a chat, and then there's a giant timer element. And so we're using the second Ecamm to produce custom visual displays for the people that are talking on the panel. Anybody who's ever spoken on the stage, you've seen where they have the keynote on the floor and things like that. So you can do
like a confidence monitor. Yeah.
A lot of. Okay, so Barry has a question. Barry says, should you build your own overlays or use a third party? I know my answer. Let's go.
I would build my own.
Kate.
What would you say, Doc?
Oh, okay. I'm always build my own. I have a massive. Listen. Those who don't know me, I'm a Virgo, and my opinions are opinionated, normally correct. I'm very opinionated. I don't
My
want
opinions have
anybody
opinions.
else's stuff because
Yeah.
it's like the Gap, bro. When the Gap was super popular and you roll up to the spot, that's the club for the none uninitiated, and you think you cool, you got your chinos, you got your shirt, you got your exact kicks, like I'm gonna look fly. And then you roll into the club and there's 75 people with the exact same outfit. Why? Because that was Gap's thing. You know, I'm not a fan of looking like everybody else. I was in the army for 6 years. I was tired of looking like everybody else.
Yeah. I would say the only
we had
exception would be like we've used these in the past, but like Uno.overlays, for example, which does like if you want to do any kind of, we were just talking about like heavier graphics and animations and videos and things like that, there are sites and tools you can use to make that a little bit easier. And in that case, I would do that.
Yeah. It's really
had,
it's really wild, but I like that. I like the fact of, I think, again, and Barry, this is not going to be your problem, but this is something that you'll just notice from watching people. The reason why people want these sort of turnkey solutions where the thing is already set up is because they feel like that's going to get them to production faster. But it's also, again, because they are feeling that they need to make their productions over cute. And at the end of the day, what makes Ruth Chris taste so good is the quality of the steak. For seasoning at Ruth Chris, it's salt and pepper. They don't put nothing else on there. You know what I mean? When you go to any place, you make a good steak. If the steak is good, salt and pepper. When you go to Japan, you get an A5 Wagyu. There is no seasoning on that steak. It ain't been marinated. It's just good cow, right? Like you eat it as is. And I think that more people should start there, and then you add your Diane or your Oscar or your au poivre. Did I say it right, Katie? You know, then you add that. But the whole idea, this is nasty, so let me bury it in what's this here sauce or A1. That's, yeah. Get your content correct. We learned a new one. It's not content is king. What is
Yeah.
it, Katie? I forgot.
Oh, you're gonna
It's in
ask me
my
for
notes.
homework.
It wasn't content is king. It's something else. Oh my goodness!
I don't
Now I gotta
remember.
go find it. It might be context. Oh, I forget.
Look
But-
at you bringing up stuff without having a circle to close. Now I'm going to be here all day.
All day, right?
Waiting
And
to try to
I have it in my
remember
my
all day.
notebook because I wrote it down. I didn't transcribe it into my other notes. Yes, but yeah, it's not that content is king. It was something else that was actually really, really brilliant.
I just want to throw in a quick example. So NACC gave us a branded background with the NACC event logo. So we just threw that background in Ecamm. I threw a little blur overlay on top of that, and right inside the Ecamm, and threw the logo on top. We had like a little scrolling sticker, like, you know, the show is about to start soon with the countdown and whatnot. And then what's so cool with the live motion in Ecamm, the logo transitioned from that scene and like it shrunk down into the corner of
see?
you know, that became
Little
like the
things.
watermark for the actual show.
Yeah.
And they loved it.
They loved
Look
it.
at that.
Right?
Building
Simple.
blocks.
I have one that's a very common excuse that can save you a lot of time because it's very easily done. So one of the common excuses is, well, I need to do that because I need to have a pattern interrupt or whatever. I'm going to let you have that because you believe that. But we have watched entire things for like hour and a half with no pattern interrupts because we were so engaged in the context. When I think of, I've seen the, I don't know about this show. I've seen this show called The Something Monologues like 12 times. They got one shot. They don't do any like weird cuts or whatever. The people just go up there and give their soliloquies and whatever. And it's very, very entertaining, right? When you're probably engaged and entertained, those tricks don't matter. But however, if you feel you need to, one thing that's really cool about Ecamm is I could take this shot here of camera A, and then I could also just go into my little digital zoom and set up a little boom, and then have it come back to like a boom, right? And then you can do that without doing much, without overproducing, without whatever. You just build two cameras. So one in A that zoomed at one point, one is camera B that zoomed at another, and when you switch the scene, it just moves in a little bit. That's if you want to say that works, that's less work on your machine and it won't crush your production, but you can easily do that. You can also build extra cameras so that one of them just becomes black and white, and then that could be your pause for effect or a sepia tone, or you could even do witness protection program as pause for effect. You know what I mean? And those are good ways to give you those things that you're calling pattern interrupts that won't make your machine die because you're trying to do some fancy twirling that's semi unnecessary. Yes.
Well, we are somehow over time, so we've gotten all the way through. I want to be respectful of Fuljens this time, but we super appreciate you coming on and all the help with NACC. And I know we have Card Party coming up here soon. So, where can people? I mean, I know you're in the Ecamm community, but if people have more questions for you or want to be able to pick your brain a bit more, how can they reach out to you? Do you have a landing page or someplace that we can point into?
Oh, absolutely. Fuljens.com/me, or you could just email me directly, fulgensh@gmail.com, and or connect with me directly on LinkedIn, Fuljens Henry. I'm everywhere as Fuljens. You Google Fuljens and like a whole AI description comes up, and I'm like, what? Fuljens Henry is a live video producer that I'm like, where did this come from?
I mean, there's only like a handful of you.
Yeah, you built it. I love it. Well, I think it's, again, like one thing I really want to challenge all of us for this year is like there are tons and tons of opportunities in the community that we've all built and created where like there are people all the time that ask us, you know, I need a producer in this area. I need someone to help out at this kind of event. So if this is something that you want to learn more about, talk to Fuljens, ask questions in the community. We're going to start putting more and more opportunities in there for all of you. So I would just challenge you all to get outside your comfort zone a little bit and take up some of these opportunities, because I think you, even if you don't plan on doing this particular role full time or taking on clients or kind of doing this, I think it makes us all better creators and better Ecamm users, certainly learning from some of these high stakes situations with millions of people watching and thousands of people in the room. I think it's you need a little bit of that heart rate going up to kind of really understand what matters most and what to double down on and what to just get out of your mind and push to the side.
Yeah, it's so true. And again, you know, get out there and practice. I think Katie mentioned this earlier. Man, go find some volunteer opportunities in your area. You know, be Johnny. Get it? Maybe Jill will send you.
He's gonna beat you to it.
Yeah,
he's gonna
Jill
shove
will
you out
send
of
you
the
a
way.
Johnny shirt, right? Go find some volunteer opportunities for you to get better at the skills that you have, and you know, try it. Here's something crazy that you could absolutely try that you may have never thought about. Make a private live stream for your next family get together, and set your little thing up with your computer and that in the corner, and use it to collect information from the old people in your family. Because
family history,
yeah, family history type situation.
Love that.
So put together a little variety show in your living room. If you need some help, I know a whole bunch of my Pinoy friends can help you, because this is what they do anyway with karaoke and that. So, like, yeah, just produce a live show in your house so you can get used to it. Don't wait until the stakes are high and you don't know how to do it. Super simple.
Aw. Thank you for spending the time here with us today, Fuljens. I know you're busy and we really appreciate it.
No, this was awesome. Anytime. I love this. Thank you.
That's going to be our new hashtag.
Be Johnny. And if you can't be Johnny, be Katie pretending to be Johnny. These are the things that you want to be.
Oh, God.
I might have to put the shirt on sale again.
Dude, just everybody get the
We'll
Be
put it
Johnny
on sale
shirt.
for everyone. Yeah.
Be more
It's awesome.
Johnny. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Forges, I'm going to send you a clip from this guy named Owen Cutts, and he's talking about like the world needs more pips. I'm going to send you that, and then you're going to think of Johnny.
That's it.
All right, Flow Riders, you know exactly what it is. Of course, if you have questions about any of this, you want to know about production, you can always get that to us. You can reach us at flow.ecamm.com. I do have a screen for that. As soon as I find the button, there's flow.ecamm.com. You can send us questions there. We also have the mailbag episode that we do quite often, so you can reach us by going to the mailbag link, which Katie will pop in the chat real quick, because my brain cannot remember.
Ecamm.tv/mailbag. That
That's
lets
the
you
one.
send us a
That is the
video
one.
question.
Ecamm.tv/mailbag. You can send a question in and we'll get those put out for you as soon as possible. Thanks again, FJ. And we will see you guys again soon. And you know what we say around here as I look for the Mahalo scene. Flow Riders, out.
Out. Bye, everyone.